Hello, my friends. Here I am on Truth and Reconciliation Day. For my American viewers and my international viewers, that's basically a way of paying tribute to indigenous people. What some may call Native Americans, Native Canadians, people who, I grew up in a predominantly Native and Chinese area. Like, white people were like the minority, and I was bullied a lot by the either they were Vietnamese or Chinese kids. They kind of formed gangs and they'd pick on me, and the Native kids, they became my friends because they were also targeted as well. And I felt a deep connection to them despite being as white as one can get. Because I had COVID over the last little while. I seem to have come out of it now. I haven't been, taking psychedelics because, my immune system's obviously being down. Like, even smoking pot is, like, way stronger than it was. And I had a DMT cart, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, DMT carts are fucking weak as hell. At least everyone I've tried. They actually, get this is crazy. I mean, there's a store that sells DMT carts in my city for like $250 for like half a gram. It's fucking ridiculous. I tried one when I was actually working at the pot stand. Pissed off my boss, but I really ripped it. Like, I fucking heated it up for like 5 seconds and just like as much as I could, and it got me pretty high, but like after a minute it just started to peter off. So I was like, what the fuck, that doesn't seem like DMT to me. There was just something off about it. But my buddy makes carts, who will remain nameless for obvious reasons. Makes carts amongst other things, master entrepreneur, this fucking guy, cool guy, good friend. The only drugs I've been doing is ketamine, pot, and these DMT carts. Even though they're weak as hell, like, this morning after the indigenous people marched by, and I had my orange sweater on, and I was hanging it out the window, trying to show that I support. I decided to rip my cart, and I did about like 7 hits, and I don't know if I broke through or not. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I had my eye shades on, so and it was weird because it was mostly red that I saw, mostly red and green. Usually when I do DMT, it's all sorts of colors, like a disco ball, but imagine each little square is a different color. Like, that's usually what DMT is like for me when I break through it. But this was oddly just, it was dual colored. It was just green, red. But actually there's a little bit of yellow at the beginning too. It started with a lot of web-like things, very web-like things, and kind of pulling me in. So more and more and more, I kept hitting it. Had the tube attached, so it hit harder too. After going through all these webs, I felt this, again, another, like, not overtly, like, visually female presence, but, like, I could just intuitively tell it was a female presence. And and I could feel this urging of sort of just extend your hand, and so I did it. And took my hand, and I felt this warmth, this embrace, and then I remember as I was peeking, I came to this sort of this sphere with a little humanoid-looking figure inside of it. So it was weird. It's unlike other DMT experiences I've had, very much so. But like I remember like slowly making my way up to this sphere, and just being like, can I embrace you? Can I embrace you if you don't mind? With love and respect. These are two words that I always use when I go into a DMT experience. I say, hey, lovely dreams, with love and respect. And I state my intentions. Let's go somewhere neat and somewhere where I can be with my tryptamine family, which is what I like to call them because it feels like I'm going to a familial place. So I did embrace this being. This green sort of light and warmth overtook me, and I could feel the warmth, I could feel the embrace, and it was at that point that I, sort of opened my eyes, came out of it, looked in the mirror, did a little shadow work. This is fairly short purport. As I said, DMT carts are just not very strong. This wasn't a strong experience by any measure, in contrast to the experiences I've had. It's the closest I've gotten to a breakthrough on a DMT cart, but I don't know if I was fully there, but I still did have some entity contact. And again, it wasn't the archetypal gestures, fucking Fabergé, egg, machine elves, blah, 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 everything that people report on DMT. And, this is why, like, I'm kind of primed to believe that it is more about the mind with DMT than it is something spiritual, because I think the suggestibility of the experience in that people will say listen to Terrence McKenna or Joe Rogan and then see shit that they talk about when they do it, hence why I try to stay away from listening to those reports. I experience entities that do not resemble anything at all conventional. As I think I stated in my first breakthrough, I saw the gestures and the middle fingers and all that stuff because, I was listening to Rogan before I did it. I've been flipped off when I did Chonga once, but again, that was, I believe I was watching a Junk Bond Trader video on him talking about the middle fingers that you see when you do DMT. But I never really experienced that anymore. Usually there's no anthropomorphic nature to what I see. There's like the entities are usually like comprised of geometric patterns, but this time, it was the one entity that first embraced me. I couldn't see because it was behind me. I just was glowing. I just felt this eternal presence, reach out your hand, embrace me. I did, but I couldn't see it. And I like to see it as like these sort of red trails and sort of spiderweb like patterns everywhere that were moving very fast. And but then when I came to the main entity, like I ascended up to this entity, it was like a very like obliquely anthropomorphic figure. I mean, like it had some form resembling a human. But it was still very like its form was not in a mold. It was sort of, almost like smoke or fog in terms of the matter. The how do I explain this? It just wasn't. It wasn't a cookie cutter person. I'll put it that way. But it looked like, head, shoulders, torso, no legs or anything, and then a sphere around it. And it embraced me, and that's pretty cool. But now that I've overcome COVID, I'm gonna restart my psychedelic trials, and probably start slow. So I'm probably gonna do either 1.5 grams of mushrooms and chocolate with some MDMA, or some MDMA and 2CB. I really don't feel like having very extreme, at least long-lasting psychedelic experiences right now. I mean, I've expressed before that I don't really, seek those types of heroic dose level experiences of long-lasting hallucinogens anymore. Anyhow, because I don't think it's necessary. I want to be able to explore the trip, and then, usually I'll do ketamine when I'm peaking, so I'll end up fucking just rocketing into a breakthrough anyways, depending on what I'm doing. Like when I hippie flipped with the 4-ACO DMT and accidentally did way too much of it, and then did ketamine on top of it at the peak, I broke through for 2 hours, which was pretty cool. But if I want that level of experience, I'll just do DMT, because it's 10 minutes. Otherwise, I'll do with acid, for example. I'll do, I don't aim for more than 200 micrograms. I try to even go less than that, 150 maybe. And I don't even do acid that much anymore. I do usually LAD, as it's just less harsh on my system, and it's more visual, and it has a bit of a clearer headspace, I find. That I find I can dose a little bit higher. I can go kind of around the 250 microgram, 300 microgram range with MDMA, and MDMA, obviously it potentiates it quite a bit, but otherwise, I don't really seek out those high level experiences. I did inadvertently, and I made a video about this. I plunged some 2CB, and I did probably the equivalent to, because I was using a really shitty scale, so I think I plunged about 20, which, when you put it in your butt, it's 3-4 times stronger. So I ended up doing probably about what amounted to 60 milligrams of 2CB orally. I could barely see. It was like a tornado of patterns going around me, but because it was 2CB, it was manageable. I could still think despite barely being able to see, and it was still a cool experience. But in any case, I'm out of COVID, but I'm still going through benzo withdrawal, so that fucking sucks. It's not very much fun. Don't recommend it at all, but don't recommend you do benzos unless you really have to. And it also, one thing that gives me a little trepidation is that when I do psychedelics, I find solace in the fact that I can take benzos as a trip killer if things really get out of hand. I've never had to do that per se, but you know, just knowing it's there gives me a level of security and confidence and experience, because it's like, oh, well, I have a safety parachute just in case I really need it. And then I never end up taking it unless it's like acid, and I'm just like, fuck, it's been 16 hours, I want to sleep, god damn it, give me some Xanax. But, you know, I'm on a benzo taper, so taking benzos outside of what I'm prescribed, it would just make things more messy for me. So, you know, I'm certainly not going to be going into high doses of, you know, your traditional hallucinogens anyways, right now. But with DMT, I mean, I don't mind, because, you know, with the, like, I have a weird metabolism. That's one reason, like, when I do oral hallucinogens, like, you know, I take them orally, like, I can have a whole range of effects depending on where my central nervous system's at, like how strong it is, how fortified it may be, or how weakened it may be. It's just, yeah, so it can be a lot more unpredictable that way. But DMT, you know, it's going straight into your brain, basically. You know, it's bypassing, you know, your metabolism and everything, you know, blood-brain barrier, all that shit. So, you know, those are the high-level experiences that I like to seek out. As I said, I do like to do, you know, a big whack of ketamine when I do a traditional psychedelic on the peak, and, you know, I'll have a very strong experience, typically for about half an hour to an hour. But other than that, I don't feel the need for going fucking crazy with it. And plus, you know, I've already got a little bit of HPPE, so I don't want to exacerbate that too much, you know? But yeah, I mean, someone also asked me about 5-MeO DMT, and as I've said before in my videos, I have some because it's legal. You can order the synthetic stuff, you know, with fucking ease in my country. But I just have very, very little ambition to do it, because when I did it, like, I did it, you know, a number of times. Like, I did kind of low doses at first, like 3 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 7 milligrams, 9 milligrams. And, you know, the visuals were kind of similar to DMT, I found. But then, you know, I did a high dose of, like, probably, I didn't even weigh it out. I just scooped out a big fucking, like a bunch like that, and put it in my pipe. And I just remember, yeah, time went voo, 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 like I was watching my fan, and went voo, 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 stopped. And, like, I got up and I looked in the mirror, and I could barely see myself. There's this big, like, sphere in front of me that was going, and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta lie down. So I lied down, and yeah, it was just, I couldn't tell if my eyes were open or closed. It's just blackness, 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 blackness. Just a void. People talk about this white light, like, you know, coming home to the source, you know, the Brahma or whatever, you know, God, whatever you may call it. But I haven't experienced that. I haven't experienced that non-duality of, like, being everything at once, you know, like feeling like your grass growing and the wings on a bee at the same time, or whatever that people have described. Didn't experience that. Just, you know, very intense blackness. So, do I want to do it again? Yeah, at some point, sure. I mean, I do have some, so I could do it anytime, theoretically, but I'm just not all that motivated to. I find NN-DMT to be, you know, just like utterly fantastic and awe-inspiring and interactive. 5-MeO, not so much. It's like you're really at the behest of the drug when you do that. Like, as I said in my previous video on it, like, that was like one of the few times I had to go, like, just breathe, it'll be over, you're just on a drug, you'll be over soon enough, just breathe. yeah, it was just black void. Not maintaining. When I trip, like, the visuals are one of my favorite parts. My favorite part is, of course, the, antidepressant effects it has for me. But when I come, and the introspection, the revelations I come to about life, but I didn't find that in 5-MeO. With DMT, however, though, I've like, literally, like, had entities like walk me through lessons, like, in detail. But yeah, anyways, I'll leave it at that. Keep it real, folks. Bye-bye. Mwah. Love. And yeah, support to indigenous people, man. Fucking, indigenous people have always been people I have gotten along with quite a lot, as I've always been an outsider. I've always struggled with people judging me, people, disdaining me, disparaging me, bullying me, picking on me, and I found that, Native kids were always the ones who came to my aid. They were never the aggressors. We always had, like, a form of solidarity between us, and I just get along with them a lot. I don't know if it's because, like, the Irish have suffered through a lot of similar stuff, because most of my heritage is Irish. I mean, I'm obviously not from Ireland, but, like, I just really get along with them. I really do respect their culture, and I respect, more than anything, the dignity they show despite the hardship they've endured, the displacement from their land, the scorching of their culture, their identities, their it's generations of trauma and hurt. We have these residential schools in Canada, or we had these residential schools in Canada that killed many, many people, and just were absolutely atrocious. Taking children away from parents and forcing them to be raised in these like, traumatically oppressive Catholic schools, and, like, the Pope has only just come out to apologize, and it's like too little too late for one, and for two, it's like, reparations, motherfucker. You sit on a fucking throne of gold in a fucking city of gold. Why don't you fucking, like, chip off a few fucking gems and chunks of gold from your throne and give it to the people, the families that you've hurt, the generational trauma your church has fucking instilled. What we got? No, we got a fucking just, like, half-assed apology. I mean, not we. I mean, they. Sorry. I mean, and when I say we, I mean Canadians. But I'm not indigenous, and I just it's weird. I just feel like I just relate with indigenous people more than just about any other like, race of people. But that's because of my upbringing. Not saying that's they're better or worse than any other race. I judge people on an individual basis. I've met Native people who are assholes, but it's more understandable, those people, if they're alcoholics or whatever, because they're experiencing generational trauma. So I give them a little more leeway in that. But I should probably shut my mouth before I end up saying something that'll get me in trouble. But I have a lot of love for indigenous people, and I really respect the dignity they've maintained despite all the awful, atrocious shit they've been forced to endure over the years. And I really wish they would get reparations, like actual monetary reparations, instead of just you know, like, oh, here's some casinos and here's some reserves, and yeah, you can sell your own cigarettes and shit like that. Fuck off. Like, how about you actually do something? Because, you know, like, government of Canada, government of America, like, you know, us whiteys were the ones who came over and caused all this shit to begin with. You know, not gonna lie, white man's done a fuckload of damage on this planet, that's for sure. And yeah, it's you know, it's a sad thing. It's undeniable. It's painfully undeniable. You know, I have a very you know, deep knowledge of my ancestral tree, and I do have a little bit of British in me, but from what I know, my family, you know, were for the most part, you know, you know, struggling people themselves, you know, so they weren't, you know, going out and oppressing others. You know, they had their own shit to deal with, so I'm happy in that. But just as a white person in general, you know, it's not that I feel guilt, but I mean, I'm just ashamed of what the white person or white people have done to this planet. And again, you know, it's, humanity in general has just done a lot of bad to the planet. So I'm not singling white people out, but because it's just Truth and Reconciliation Day, I think it must be mentioned. The scars that, you know, have been inflicted. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that. Peace out. Bye-bye.